We got 32 head of steers, got a bunch of rope horses. All of a sudden, my shoulder's getting used more than it's been used in a long time. So then I started having a little bit of pain, and at night it'd get really, really sore. And I'm like, man, I have got to do something.
After dealing with shoulder pain for many years and even having shoulder surgery, Mike Rogers found himself in a predicament. He was dealing with shoulder pain. He had 32 roping steers that needed to be broken in. He had a barn full of horses in training, and he could hardly raise his shoulder. He'd given it as much attention as he thought he could, and he was now seeking other alternatives or other options to help push him across the finish line, because Mike's livelihood depends on his physical ability, like most ranchers and farmers, and Mike needed to do something. This is how Mike found relief for his shoulder pain, and how you can too.
I'm in Rio Verde, Scottsdale, Arizona, on probably the nicest place I've ever been in my life, doing what I love, training rope horses every day. So a day in the life of us now being in Arizona, we get up in the morning at 6 o'clock. We feed horses, start saddling about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. We run steers in. There's be days we'll go through 7 head of horses. There may be days we go through 4. But literally our whole deal now is we saddle up and we work on young horses, and we start these rope horses, and we rope every day.
What does the body endure training rope horses? Well, if you start with a horse that's already broke and knows what to do and doesn't have that many quirks, it starts with lifting about a 50 to 75 pound saddle and all of the equipment that goes along with it. It involves getting onto the horse and squeezing with your legs, and about 100 swings of your rope, and a lot of physical torque on the lower extremity, the upper extremity. The body is put under a lot of heavy duress.
I think the list of injuries I could put in, and it would take up a notebook. I mean, I've dislocated my shoulders, I've broke my leg, I've broke my ribs, I've had concussions, oh heck, my mom would probably tell you from the time I was 15 till the time I was 35, I used my body as a playground. And I look back now, and there's injuries that I didn't feel when I was younger that I feel now. I'm 47 now. I'm still young. I deal with my leg now. My leg's no big deal. It's done, it's over. Only time it affects me is when the barometric pressures change, when it's going to rain or get cold. I've learned to deal with that one.
Training rope horses is incredibly hard on the body. Our patients, we see it firsthand. They're pretty beat up and broken down. Before you even get on the horse, there's already a lot of work involved with lifting the saddle and all of the equipment that goes along with just preparing your horse. And then you're swinging your rope at least 100 times and pulling on heavy cattle. There's a lot with the dallying and the torque, and the rotator cuff takes a tremendous amount of duress. There's not only the repetitive motion of swinging the rope, but there's a lot of the pull and push and heavy type of movements that play a big role in breaking down the rotator cuff and wear and tear on the joint.
What I've had the problems with is I use my shoulder so much now. And one of my injuries when I was younger and I was fighting bulls is I got hooked and it ripped my shoulder out of socket, and it tore everything in my shoulder. Never went and had it fixed. Never went and had any surgery. And it's just cowboy way. You just rub a little dirt on it, let's go. We ain't got time to sit around. I'd say back in, it had to have been 2015, 2017, I had a horse jump a ditch and the ground was froze, and he hit the ground and fell down and hit my shoulder and broke the bottom part of the socket off my shoulder and ripped my shoulder apart. And we were supposed to go to the World Series finale to go rope. This happened in October and we were roping in December. And I was like, oh boy. I toughed it out and I did it. I turned all my steers. And I just endured it until it couldn't get no more. And I had shoulder surgery done 4 years ago. And the shoulder surgery went very well. I'd heard a lot of things, bad things, you know, range mobility and range of motion and strength and everything. It couldn't have been worse than what I had. When I roped, I looked like a T-Rex. I couldn't open up. I couldn't hardly swing no more. So I had the shoulder surgery done, but there's no cartilage left in my shoulder. I had less than 40% of my rotator cuff. He tightened it up. He tightened it up good. The doctor was a heck of a doctor. I did all the physical therapy. I did everything how I was supposed to, but I still had a pain in my shoulder. I was still trying to stretch it and get it where it needed to be.
Mike sustained an injury to his shoulder that needed surgical repair, and he went and had the shoulder surgically repaired. They reattached a tendon and did a perfect job doing that. And although Mike was a lot better than he was before he went in for that surgery, he still was left with some pain that was starting to increase as time went on, and it was becoming a hindrance in his very active life. And he went back to the surgeon, and from a surgical standpoint, everything was perfect. And on static imaging, everything looked good. So there was really nothing more that could be done from a conventional surgical approach. So Mike began looking into other options and things that he could do to help his shoulder so he can get past that 50% mark of where he was just not getting any better. And he had a lot of work to do. So that's when he did his research and he found us.
We got 32 head of steers, got a bunch of rope horses. All of a sudden, my shoulder's getting used more than it's been used in a long time. So then I started having a little bit of pain, and at night it'd get really, really sore. And I'm like, man, I have got to do something. I'd seen a bunch of people that had the MSK done. And I told my wife, I said, after the futurity, I'm gonna get it done. She goes, okay. She goes, whatever you need to do. So after the futurity, I bit the bullet. And I was like, you know, had shoulder surgery, and that put me out for months. I was like, from what I've heard, the MSK deal, man, you're out for 10 to 14 days. Why not try it? And so we went in and I had a consultation. We looked at it and we did the shot, and we did it right then. I was in there for about an hour, hour and a half, but I think an hour of that I think was more of us talking, me and the doctor and Rachel talking and BSing, but the actual procedure was only 30 minutes. When I left, I could feel a difference, but they had a local numbing agent in it and everything like that. And I was like, well, you've done it. So, you know, you held up on when you had surgery, you did everything you're supposed to. Now do everything Rachel says to do. And so we did. And it was the hardest thing for me to do because I had all these rope horses going. I had stuff I still had to do.
Mike spoke to a couple of his roping buddies that had come to see us, and he thought if they could help these guys who are pretty tough and beat up, it's worth giving a call and going in and seeing what they can do for me. And when Mike came in, all of our patients deserve to be out of pain. There's just something so endearing about Mike. He is a hard worker, and he has done so much in his life. He is a physical guy who never complains. He just gets out there and does what he has to do despite the pain, and provides for his family this way. And he just is very, very endearing. And we are really fortunate to have been able to help Mike.
And come day 10, I picked up a rope and I roped the dummy. And I'm like, holy cow. Because I had felt it starting to change, and I'd been doing some stretching and stuff like that. And I was like, oh boy, this feels good. Since that day, it's been nonstop. I don't rope as many steers a day as I did, just for pure fact I don't want to stress it. I don't want to, you know, re-injure it or anything like that. I've been trying to build it up. Almost coming on 4 weeks, I think, almost a month since I've had it done. I have an up and downs, and there's days I come out and I throw a saddle on a horse. I'll saddle like 3, be like, hey, that's what we're gonna do. I get done with that third one and I'm like, man, I got 4 more I can ride. Let's go grab 2 or 3 more.
When I initially say it's imperative to take 10 days rest after the procedure, we usually get a look like a deer in the headlights from our patients, because as one of our patients said, they haven't taken 10 days off since they can't even remember when they took 10 days off. So it seems like a big ask, but it's extremely critical for the outcome of the procedure to work, to give your body a break for 10 days. Mike did exactly what we told him to do. He was an excellent patient, and his body went to work and began to solidify the injury with all good things coming into that area. And he gave his body the opportunity to heal. And after years and years of relying on your body and having it be right where you need it to be to support you in all that you do, giving it 10 days to heal is not a big ask in the big scheme of things. So you deserve it. Your body deserves a break. If your horse was injured, you would instinctively know you're going to give your horse a break. Give him some stall rest, and then he'll be better in the end. You've got to do the same thing with your body. Give it the 10 days to just heal. We are so pleased with how Mike's outcome turned out. He's feeling really good, and he's able to continue his life. We're looking for more good days than painful days, and that's the goal with what we're doing. So we can help you, and you want to hear more, click on the next video to hear more.